Welcome to Matters Podcast, where we have unfiltered conversations about the that really matters.
Welcome to Shit Matters Podcast. I'm your co-host, Michael Burris, alongside these three handsome gentlemen, Brandon, Josh, and Kenny. The handsome part is a little bit of stretch, but good morning, fellas. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Talking crazy, 20 seconds into the podcast.
Hit the cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Cheers. You got a protein shake? What is that?
Some protein, some life greens, some peanut butter, and a banana, man.
Look at you. Okay. Oh, also, Josh just finished 75 hard. Congrats on seeing that through.
Hey, man. Saw it through, man. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So, today is going to be a fun conversation. We're going to talk about legacy and what legacy means to us. And we're going to discuss a dialogue around nepotism, the pros and cons of nepotism, and we'll see where that goes. I feel like it might get a little interesting. But legacy, what does legacy mean? I think for everybody it has a different meaning. Legacy to me is something that's passed down beyond yourself. It's really passed on. I think one thing that we forget is that when we die and we go away, you know, the one thing that's on my mind is how long will my impact be felt? How long or when will the last time my name be mentioned? That's legacy. If you have a strong legacy, there are guys who died 1,000 years ago, 2,000-3,000 years ago, and we still know about them. We still learn because their legacy was that powerful. Their impact was that powerful. So once your children die, once their children die, once your friends die, how long will your name live on? I think that's a question that you should think about, because if you were just living a life for yourself, you're not going to have, which is fine. Everybody doesn't want to have a huge legacy. For some, they just want to build a great family and have their kids pass their name down. But even if you don't have that, right? Once your kids are gone, like, I don't know who my great-great-grandfather is. I don't know about the guy. I don't know who my great-grandfather is. You know, so that's only 3 generations ago. So he didn't have much of an impact from that standpoint. No respect to him. I love him. He passed down my genes, but like, that's the question. What does legacy mean to you? How long do you want your name to last throughout the ages? We'll start there. So who wants to dive into it? Anybody?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think I couldn't have said it any better than you just you laid it out to Michael. I think legacy is the biggest word that comes to mind is impact for me, right? It's the impact that you're making on others. And I think the best perspective that I've tried to focus through is taking my eyes off myself and putting them onto others. You can have a huge legacy as far as, you know, success in your life and money you made and maybe some goals that you accomplished. But if the eyes were on you the entire time, like to Michael's point, when you're dead and gone, like your grandkids might not even really remember much of what you did because you focused on yourself your entire life, right? So for me, what it means is obviously impact on my immediate family, my parents, my kid, my wife, obviously grandkids, but being able to provide value to as many people as possible on a daily basis, I think is something that I'm continuing to try and get better at. I think we can all get better at. But I think that is the true testament of your legacy, is how many people you can impact on a positive basis, and making sure that positive impact is sticking with them for life, depending on what you did there.
Yeah, just like you were saying, I think it's so important to have a purpose and a vision. You have to have a clear-cut purpose and vision before you even think about a legacy. And if you're consistent with that and you're constantly impacting the people that's surrounding you, I think that's the biggest thing. I feel like there's a big difference between inheritance and legacy. I feel like just because you don't have kids or you don't have an offspring doesn't mean that you can't create a legacy for the people that's surrounding you. The people that you work with every day, the people that you encounter, even just at a grocery store, that can be your legacy of leaving an everlasting impact on that person.
All blip. Think about how old planet Earth is for a second, right? And when you take a step back and put in the perspective of, oh shit, we're here for 2 seconds, not even. a millisecond in the grand scheme of the entirety of the world. I think it's funny because the Egyptians every century has tried to bring riches along with them before death, right? And it's just not possible. So in terms of legacy, I like what both of these guys have said, D. To me, I've shifted my mindset a lot to things that I can impact around me, whether it's my family, whether it's community, whether it's at work, knowing that we're here for just a small blip. And if you can better those around you, that's as much of a legacy that you're going to get. Because if I ask the three of you to name me 3 people from the 1700s, I don't know if you guys can do it. And that's not a knock on you guys. I don't know if I could do it either. It's just the point of legacy. It's like, yeah, there's not that many people that are actually remembered, in the grand scheme of it. We're here for just a very small amount of time, and we're going to get a lot more joy, and we're going to make this a better place if we shift our legacy mindset. Like Cope was saying, it doesn't have to be a family. It could just be your community around you. I love the quote that, you're sitting in the shade today because of someone who planted a tree yesterday, right? And that yesterday could be years ago that they weren't going to reap the benefits of sitting in the shade, but they created that legacy. You might not know their name, but you made the world a better place, and you're sitting in the shade now because of what that person did before. And I'm sure that person got a lot of joy and purpose in the moment of planting that tree. We might not know their name. That doesn't really fucking matter. I think it's that legacy you're creating for the future generations. You know what I mean?
Amen to that. No, definitely. And again, I think too, again, legacy means something different to a lot of people. It could be the mindset you pass on to your children, the traditions you pass on to your children, right? It could be something you do for your immediate family. It doesn't always have to be external. So I just want to clarify that as well. I think legacy also can lead, for most men, they want to leave behind something for their children, create something for their children, which can lead to nepotism in some ways. I think we've said certain things that kind of fall into what nepotism is. I have an interesting, or I have a pro and con on both. I think as a father, I want to leave my kids something great. I want to give my kids an amazing life. That's part of the legacy I want to build. I think it's crazy because when I was a kid, when I was younger, went in college and stuff, I had people who pull up in Range Rovers, pull up in Benzes and stuff like that. You had this mindset when you was young, or they got that because they daddy rich, or their parents, or that's daddy money, that's daddy car. And I think we would speak on that, one, out of jealousy of not having it. Looking back, to reflect on that, I think a lot of folks who downplay or talk about something that other folks have because of their parents are out of the sheer lack to understand, hey, it's not this kid's fault that their parents set them up. That's a part of what their dad created to pass on to the children. Now, what I hate is spoiled ass people who don't fully appreciate or understand what they have or they flaunt it. But as a father, not a father, I hope I'm not yet that I know of, but it's my hope that I can set my kids away as well. So nepotism ties in with legacy. And so I think Josh, we talked about Bronny yesterday about how that's a huge doggone nepotism. Obviously, LeBron has an amazing legacy, right? And he has built a platform that has given him the power and the ability to dictate certain things. Now, his son was drafted. For those who don't know, Bronny James was drafted 55th overall in the 2024 NBA draft. And the kid, if we're being honest, Josh, the kid is not ready for the NBA. He should have stayed in school and did about 2-3 more years. He averaged 4.8 points, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, last year. Granted, he came off of a heart attack, which is amazing. He came back and playing, all that kind of stuff. But there are guys who I feel, and this is the negative part of nepotism. There were players in this draft who didn't get drafted, who missed out on the opportunity to possibly beat on the Lakers squad because LeBron James wanted his son to play with him. Bronny brings no value to the Lakers this year. He's not even going to play this year. He's probably in the G League. So that pick could went to somebody else who could have brought immediate value now. So it's about nepotism, the pros and cons of that. In the corporate space, folks get jobs all the time. They don't deserve it because their daddy is the manager, whatever the case may be, right? So that's the negative side of it. I'll stop there. Does anybody disagree with that?
I don't think it's a negative side. I think that's life, right? I think we build ourselves up to a certain point that once I have a dealership, if I want to provide my child an opportunity to become a sales manager, then by all means, obviously he's going to beat out the guys that's ahead of him, right? I see it all day long. Right? I'm sorry?
What if your son can't sell a box of Fruit Loops?
Well, so I'll give this perspective quick. I think I agree with both sides, but I do think it comes down to the parent as well. I think it becomes a negative experience if that parent does not, if they're going to give them the dealership, make sure they're prepared to take over the dealership. I think, 100%. Right? Yeah. So I think the negative experience would come if, I'm going to give my kid the dealership just because, but I'm not going to let them know this is what it actually takes to run this thing. I'm just going to give it to him because it's my son.
Right. I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it from, an owner, work someone up from like, hey, car wash, to put them on like a streamlined process. So like every 6 months they're getting elevated. And then I've seen it from the other side, and the father or mother dies and they just get left the entire business. Right. And they have to kind of start from ground zero. Either way, like we can have our perception, but either way, that's what we work for, right? We work to leave our children something, right? And obviously, like nepotism is like being able to give someone something that they might not have got just because of their leverage and just because of their power. Like LeBron obviously can't offer Bronny James a position within the Lakers. It was his greatness, his leverage that he's worked on from being in the NBA for so many years and arguably being the best player of our generation to allow him to say, hey, you know what? If you guys want me, you're going to have to sign my son. Yeah, obviously we can look at it someone else missed out, but that's life, right? We can't say that, just because like Bronny James is not worthy of being on the Lakers doesn't mean that, hey, like LeBron James has granted the right to, if he wants to have his son in the NBA, by all means, like he can be so.
Kenny, you're pretty quiet over here. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, D, question for you. If this was Paul George, I'm trying to think about someone who's good, but not like LeBron says. If this was Paul George's kid, do you think Paul George's kid would have got drafted?
What was Paul George's kid good? Or Paul George's kid?
I'm sorry. Paul George's kid is just as good as you think Bronny is. Let's just put it that way. Do you think Paul George's kid?
He's not getting drafted. Not getting drafted. He probably got opportunity to come to a summer league. For instance, Shaq kid, he didn't get drafted, but he got a chance to go to summer league, and he's not in the league right now. You got mad former NBA players' kids who weren't really worth a pick, so they didn't get drafted. They went undrafted, and they had an opportunity to possibly make a team. That didn't happen in this case, right? Yeah. And again, LeBron's legacy is something that we can't argue against. He's an amazing ambassador for the game. He created a platform that gave him the ability to do what he's doing now. Cool. And he wants to pass it on to his children. That's an amazing thing.
I think one other thing you should add, just for context for listeners, is like, and I don't know how true it is, but Rich Paul, the agent, was supposedly telling teams like, hey, if you do draft Bronny, he's actually going to go to Australia and go play ball.
Yeah.
If he got to push him to the Lakers. So I think that needs to be in context as well.
They're flat out the strongest duo in the NBA, right? And that's a form of nepotism too, if you look at it that way. He gave his best friend, or not even, I don't even know if it was his best friend at that time, but they met at a airport and basically Rich Paul was selling him jerseys, right? And that's how they met. That's how that relationship started. But he was only like, I want to say, a junior or senior in high school at that time. But they began.
Now that's where Josh, I would add it's a layer on there, right? So I think it's different. Again, we said it earlier, when you earn something, right? Rich met LeBron when he was younger. They built a friendship. They wanted to start this thing. Now, Rich, I got a lot of negative talk because everybody kept saying that he only got it because of LeBron. But folks don't know, Rich did go to school. He did earn degrees. He did get lessons. He did work under other people to get the skill set to run this agency to where it is now. He wasn't just giving it and wasn't prepared for it or didn't deserve it.
He worked under LeBron's agent at the time for like a year. And then they wanted to start their own agency. I don't think he ever even got a degree because they tried to make a rule.
Oh, yeah, so he has one now. He didn't have first. Yeah.
I don't think he still does. Because they tried to put a rule. They tried to put a rule in place like 5 years ago that you need a degree. And they went to like the court hearings and everything. I don't think he ever got one.
So it was called the Rich Paul rule. They were taking all the athletes. They wanted to push him out. But I think he went back. Either way, if he didn't go back, like he has the skill set now, but he only got the opportunity he has now because of LeBron, if we're being honest. But it's again,
we work hard. We work so hard to leave a legacy, right? So we can provide opportunities to individuals that might not be granted if it was just solely them, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I would have a problem with, because again, we all want to do that. I'm pretty sure Brandon wanted to create something for leave it behind his kids. Same for you. I have no problem with us opening doors for our loved ones. That's our job. What I have a problem with is if they aren't prepared, and I don't even want to say deserving. I'm just being flat out. The kid should not be in the NBA. He shouldn't be in the NBA. And when you're talking about, there are players in this draft who had better careers, better numbers than him, and then get drafted. And he got opportunity because of his father. He could have went undrafted, and they put him in summer league or whatever, and he did this thing. He took a pick for somebody who could have had that pick. That's, to me, we say all the time, that's LeBron's job to open up opportunities, all this stuff, cool. But at the end of the day, if it's the difference when the person this is a business, this is a sport, this isn't some small mom and pop thing. Now you are basically putting one person's it's always been LeBron's dream. So one person's desire to be the first to play with his son over an organization's overall goal, which is to what? Win a championship. So I'm going to draft this kid to make LeBron happy, but in the process, I'm not adding value to our team to win a damn championship. Brian's not going to play this year.
Let's be honest.
Point? Huh?
How many second round picks play in their first year anyway? Let's be honest. How many second round players in the NBA actually play the first year?
Point. That was the whole point. You had a second round pick person dictating things. It never happened before. But let's remember, Nikola Jokic, second round pick, best damn player in the league right now. You got a lot of players who came in second round.
Well, you're talking about one out of like 20.
No. Like I don't know the stats for data, so I don't want to say some crazy ass number, but I'm pretty sure we Google second round players and see who all came second round. You got some second, because think about it. Like everybody ain't going in the first round. It's the same thing with the NFL. You got a lot of cats who come in the first round and end up being trash. Best players usually in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round sometimes. To be honest,
100%. NFL is more likely than the NBA. The second round picks. I mean, listen, like the majority don't even pan out.
You're right.
But like at the end of the day, LeBron, like we can complicate it just because obviously the NBA is a big platform. But at the end of the day, LeBron James offered a opportunity to get a job for his son.
At the end of the day,
we can overcomplicate it and make it look like he's earning millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, if I was the owner at the dealership, I provided my son a job within the dealership.
I was just gonna say, let's switch this. Let's switch this from sports to real life. We're all CEOs of a Fortune 500 company. I'm not even gonna say small mom and pop shop. Fortune 500 company. College can't get can't get a good job anywhere, right? And then all of a sudden you're just like, all right, I'm going to give my kid a job. And so, that job just so happens to make $150,000 a year. Just say, hey, I want to take care of my kid, set him up. I'm CEO. I'm going to put this kid in XYZ position. Are you doing that?
Hold, pause. So for clarity, Kenny.
Yeah.
He's in college, can't get a job. Now,
Yep.
can he not get a job because he's interviewing? He's not better than other candidates.
Yeah.
Not get a job.
Not better. Maybe just lazy. I don't know. Whatever the reason is, can't get a job.
Okay.
I can take this and run with it first. I would say hell no. I mean, the way it happened for me, just a small little context, is my parents threw me into work at 13 years old. Before that, I was shoveling driveways and doing whatever I could to make a buck, right? Because I had to kind of pay for whatever I wanted. But if I am that position, my kid's going to start at that entry level position. They're going to learn whatever they need to learn in order to build themselves up. And I'll open the door and give them a job, but they're going to start, where everyone else is essentially starting at that skill level, and they can work themselves up from there.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously fast track someone, right? Like just like Bronny James, like he's coming in at the second round. He's probably going to go to the G League, right? He's going to go to the G League. He's going to go through summer league camp. He's not going to become a starter, like right. He is just he might not even make the roster this first year, right? He's just a player within that organization. So to answer your question, no, he probably wouldn't start off making $150,000. He might start off making like, $35,000, $40,000 a year. But then we're going to streamline.
No. His question was, would you give your son the 150 job? Not what he may do. If your son can get hired somewhere and you were the VP of this division.
No, forget that. You're CEO.
But you
so
threw in a variable,
CEO.
Right?
But you threw in a variable that he was lazy. So no, I would not.
Ooh.
But that's a way different topic than what we were just talking about with Bronny James. No one ever said that he was lazy. You're saying that his bucket getting is off par than somebody starting in the league.
Kenny, did you say the kid was lazy, or you say he couldn't get a job?
Yeah, he said he was lazy.
All right. Let's take out the lazy part for a second. The kid just can't get a job because he's not as qualified as the other candidates.
Would you give him a job, Josh? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Would you give your kid who was not better than other candidates in a role? I imagine 150 probably in a role. He's kind of leading people. I imagine at that level at some point. Some banks, some companies. But would you give your kid a judge? Yes or no question. It's okay if you say yes, but
you keep saying it's a yes or no question, but it's not. It's not a yes or no question.
It's yes.
It actually is the yes or no question, because at the end of the way, and this is why I bring it up, right? Because we can argue this. But when it's said and done, and that's your blood and flesh, right? Blood and flesh, and you're like, I want my kid to have a job or not. That's what we're talking about, right?
I'll answer this then. Like, if you took lazy out of it, if my son works hard, and he might not have all the qualifications as someone else, I'm giving him that job. But if he's a hard worker, I'm 100% giving him that job. 100%. If he's a hard worker, that's all you had to give me. Work ethic and the willing to be coachable and the willing to learn, 100% giving him that job over other people. Because at the end of the day, regardless if he has 10 years of experience, regardless of if he has 15 years of experience, you're always going to have opinions from people that's not in that position. You're always going to get negative comments from someone that's on that board. Oh, I should have got that job. Oh, I got a master's degree. He only has a bachelor's degree. Like, you're always going to get that within the workspace. So regardless, you're going to hear it. So you got to do whatever you want to do. So if he's a hard worker.
Josh, let me throw this back to you. You don't think, or maybe you do, but you don't think that experience of maybe working from, an entry level position up to, middle management up to that, $150K a year, you don't think that experience would help them long-term instead of just throwing them into that higher position?
It depends on your kids, right? I feel like I literally work with this, right? So like I see this like hand in hand. So like some kids are like they are easily coachable and you can throw them right in the mix. And then there's other kids that you really have to start from ground zero. So I think it's a variable. I don't think it's an easy yes or no question because I feel like I deal with it day in and day out. So I see it. So I feel like some kids they get it right away and they are able to obtain just as much knowledge just as so much if someone's in that position within a few years.
Which is fine. That's fine. Look, nothing wrong with that. Everybody know that. Listen, people, if Josh owns a company, you know he's gonna have all his kids working in the company.
They're gonna be working for free at like 12 years old.
But no. So
For sure.
On a serious tip, this happens every day in corporate America, though. And you have folks who give their children jobs, leading people, and they have no damn reason being in those roles. But again, it's easy to say that now. I don't have kids, so it's easy for me to say I wouldn't do that. But if I was in that spot where my child needed a boost in life and had the power to give it to him, I'd probably do the same thing. If I was Bron, I'd probably do the same thing. It's easy to say this on the flip side of it, but if I was in that spot, I probably would. Like I have, it's Marco.
Hold on, y'all never answered the question.
I did.
Go ahead,
No, he did.
I know Photop did. What did y'all two say?
Oh, so if my okay,
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah, listen. If my kid went to school and he interviewing, can't get jobs, and I know he has a work ethic, okay, I'll probably
Come on.
Well, no.
See, y'all told me this was a yes or no question.
Is Kenny, because you are the creator of the rules. Is this role leading a team, or is it an IC role?
Let's just say it's a senior level position instead of like a entry level or mid level. It's more a senior. It doesn't have to be leading people. It could.
So here's the thing, right? Only you know your child. Is if I knew my son can come in and be a sponge, learn quickly, I probably would do it. If I had doubt that he would be lazy and create an issue, what happens is this: when you do that, if the child is not capable of growing fast and leading properly, you can create a problem amongst the team. And again, it is a business. Going back to the Lakers, it's a damn business. You got to be really delusional if you think that if Bronny gets playing time over some of these other guys, if Bronny gets special treatment over some of the other guys, is that going to create resentment in the locker room?
100%.
And once the culture in the locker room is messed up, the team messed up. So it's in business. If I bring my son on board and he's over people who's been there for a long time, do the job very well, and he can't do it to their same level or beyond, I'll be stupid as a CEO to not think this is going to mess up my money. And folks are probably going to leave X, Y, Z. Maybe not. They have no choices. But so to me, my mindset will always be, what's the culture of the team? What's the culture of the office? What's the culture of the BU? And if I do this, how would that impact that? 'Cause in the day, the bottom line is the bottom line. So if my son is not ready, I'm not going to fuck up the bottom line because he's my son. No, I'm going to put him somewhere where he can grow and learn. My friend, Kent.
We're getting with a mentor.
Huh?
We're getting with a mentor.
Mentor in a different role.
Right.
You get a mentor, being an associate, and learn the whole way. My boy Kenton, love him to death. His dad started a company up in Indiana, but very mid-sized company, mostly multi-million company. And obviously the intent for the father was always to have Kenton be the CEO, legacy, right? Roger started with his brother. He want to pass down to Kenton. Kenton now has kids. I'm sure his kids pass down their kids too as well. That's how you build generational wealth. Again, legacy to me is creating generational wealth. To get back to that point and other things as well, where my kids don't have to go through what I went through. And hopefully they can take that and keep building on it. A lot of times kids get that wealth or legacy and they mess it up. You know what I'm saying? That's another layer to that piece. But he went through this. Roger had him go through every level of the business. Every level. He started in the warehouse. He went from there to other places, and he learned how to do the work that people can be leading doing. He didn't just put him in a spot of power, right? I would do it that way because now my kid is learning how the business operates. And people know I didn't just give him the ham of the company. He actually had to work, and he was working. You know what I'm saying? And now he runs this multi-million-dollar company at 32 years old, leading folks who've been there 15, 20 years. But he earned that. There's another guy I follow, Marco. I follow him for the wrong reasons. He posts his sports bets. but but his father created a empire in the car dealership in Chicago. Father passed away, but the whole time he was molding Marco. Marco was beside him, learning the business, learning how it works. He's an amazing man, treats employees awesome from what I see and what I say about him. And he turned his dad business and he tripled it. He took what his dad gave him, was always a crazy empire, and tripled it. So those two examples are the ones. Yeah, I would put my son in a spot where he knows how the business operates. He knows how to treat people because he's been in their spots, and that makes better leaders. So yeah, I want to create a legacy where I can pass my kids something, but I want to do it the right way to where they understand how to maintain it, and not just maintain it, but how to build it properly. Not just giving them shit because I can give them shit. And I feel like in this case with Bronny, he was giving some shit because LeBron was able to give him the shit, not because he deserves it right now or have the capability to maintain it or grow that legacy. I think Bryce, honestly, is more like Bron and Bronny, but it's a different case to where, if you're talking about doing the right way, keep your ass in school, grow your game, and then get either drafted the right way or come undrafted and go to the G League. They talking about, we ain't doing no two-way contracts, none of this. What are you talking about?
Well, they're leveraging. So, time out. I think in present day, it's easy for us to sit here and be like, yeah, what are they talking about? Leveraging this, that. But they're just leveraging, back to Cope's point, their power and the shit that LeBron has done over the last 20 years of his career. They're leveraging the spot that they're in, which, let's be honest, all four of us would probably do the same damn thing, right? I mean, if we were LeBron James, we leverage 100%. whether it's putting our kid through a fast track because we got that power, or leveraging connections like you kind of were saying, D, connections and maybe, certain outlets in other ways, whether it's, hey, go start this other company, but my best friend owns that other company. So that's the same shit because you're LeBron and maybe LeBron of a different industry. You're going to leverage your connections and just get your son foot in the door at another company and then kind of get experience of it. But how is this any different than, 400 years ago when the kings and queens had all the power and just handed shit down to their kids? It's a little different because we live in a capitalist society, but it's still the same concept, right? Like your kids are going to reap the benefits because of what present day is. And I don't know. I'm a big believer of the free market, and this is why capitalism's so good. The free market's going to dictate its damn self. Bronny's going to get on the court if he gets any playing time, and he's going to fumble the ball out of bounds, or he's going to be fucking ass. And then everyone else is going to see that and be like, you know what? Get this joker off the court, or else we're going to have bigger problems. That's a free market.
We don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know that. We do not know that. We do not know if he. We do not know if he's going to be trash.
No, I said let it play out.
Yeah,
let it play out.
Yeah. I hear what
he
you're
does
saying.
good. But if he don't do good,
if you're the face of the NBA, if you're the face of the
if Bronny don't do good, we hoping he does. But let's say he come out there and his kid is straight, he ain't cutting it, and JJ Redick don't stop playing his ass and giving him minutes because he want to make LeBron mad. Then what? Because that happens too. And the business world is all about who you know, right? Obviously, I want to leverage my connections to get jobs. I want to leverage my people to get contracts to businesses all the time. That is life. Like, as you said earlier, that is life. You are dumb to not leverage your connections, obviously. But it's a fine line, it's a thin line to where when you have folks who leverage these connections that are not performing at a level in which you should be performing. And again, when you're talking about the Bronny situation, if he gets playing time and he is asked, as Kenny so eloquently said, and they don't handle that properly, what do you think is going to be the effect on the Lakers, even on LeBron's legacy?
I don't think it affects his legacy whatsoever. I think what it does is, he had the opportunity to play with his son. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I don't think that they're going to press the issue of trying to give him 10 or 15 minutes a game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to produce in the summer league. I think he's going to play in the summer league. I think he's going to play in the G League. And then if he produces well in the G League, then he's going to get able to move up. But I don't think they're just going to try to pass him along and try to give him 10, 15 minutes a game. I think that's a reach.
Okay.
I think
that's a reach. That's a reach.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody, can you please reach in your pockets and send Josh 3 or 4, 5 Bronny James jerseys? You know.
Say what?
I think our society though does bash individuals too much that are placed in that position. And I mean, D, you open it up kind of saying, something similar, but I was always of the camp of like, oh, wow, they came from a rich family. They have a leg up. They have an advantage, this and that. But that's a victim mentality, right? I mean, when you have that mentality, you are distracted. You're blinded, I'll say, of your own growth. And going back to what Cope was saying, shit, life is not effing fair, guys. I mean, whether it's careers, whether it's sports, like we're talking about with Bronny, if I was a guy in the second round that did not get drafted, right? You could take that one of two ways. Oh, wow, LeBron's kid got drafted. Boo-hoo me. Life's not fair. Or you can say, this is going to effing motivate me. I'm going to go dog that dude when I see him on the court, right? In summer league or whatever. There's two approaches to this. And I think nepotism, you can use it to fuel you if maybe it's on the opposite side of that. Or you can just take the victim mentality saying, life's not fair. I'm going to go cry in the corner and then move on with life. And I think that's one progression of growth for a second that we can leverage this topic and just spin it. Life's not fair. I'm going to actually use that as fuel because now that person got the job or that person got playing time over me and use that. How can we use that to our advantage? Is kind of what I'm getting at here. And I think,
it goes back to the line of getting it out the mud, right? I think that's the most overused statement out there. I think we shine so much light on that line that we overlook the person that had the leg up and they still did something with it, right? Just like you guys were saying, if somebody's coming in driving a Range Rover and they literally make a success of their life, they still do great things. We kind of like downplay them saying that they came from money, which is not the right thing to do. I think it is the victim mentality, or like the line that says, oh, it must be nice. Yeah, it must be nice because that's what we want to do for our kids, right? We want to move our kids out of the inner city. We want to move our kids to the suburbs. We want to build that house and then allow them to have that opportunity to go to better schools, better education, better jobs, and better opportunities. But then we overlook it. We kind of downplay their success if they came from money, which is the wrong thing to do. I think as we continue to grow in life and once we do have kids, I know Potop has a daughter, and we are able to provide those opportunities, it wouldn't be right for someone to look at them and say, oh, your daddy was rich or your daddy did this, if they're still able to make something out of their life.
No, I was just, 1,000%. I was just going to maybe bring in a controversial topic around legacy and as it plays in. So my line of work in the wealth management space, the inheritance tax, right? And bringing this to presidential elections year over year, they try and highlight this inheritance tax. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about, because there's some rich people out there, right? That let's just say inheritance tax should be lower because I worked for this. I want to pass this down. I worked so hard for this. I sacrificed so much for this. So the four of us envision this. We're building this legacy. We're really the first people in our families to work and get there. And now all of a sudden the government comes and says, you know what, D? I'm going to tax you 40% when you die and pass this stuff down to your kids. Or there's another opposite side of this that says we're going to tax you less because you work so hard. So the inheritance tax is actually a pretty controversial thing when we're talking about legacy, because there's two opposite sides of this. There's, hey, I worked hard for this, or maybe you're fifth generation, you're Rockefeller family, D, and now all of a sudden you're like, you didn't work hard for this. You're 5 generations down and you're still getting taxed so much. So I want to hear what you guys have to think about maybe that side of it. And Photop, you're a business owner and everything, so maybe in terms of inheritance tax, where do you fall on this side?
Well, I may have a different perspective. I think taxes are BS no matter what.
100%. I think we're all going to the same page.
I think. I mean, all right. Just think about it. Obviously, this is a crazy, big picture, woo-woo statement. But like Boston Tea Party, they were pissed off for what 2%, and now we're at talking about 40%, upwards of 45% on capital gains, stuff like that. So I think taxes are BS to handle with. But the overall question that you said, like, if someone's in a position like myself or like one of y'all, and we're building something, and we do have, a nice chunk of change that we're passing down, like, I personally don't agree that the government should be able to grab any of that other than, a flat couple percent tax on whatever that'll go back to as far as passing it down to your family. I think that inheritance tax is 100% BS. So maybe I'm not the best person to speak on this, but if you worked hard for something and you created that and you didn't just like win the lottery or anything like that, then why the hell would someone else be taking my money that I worked hard for?
So that's one side. Let me jump in before you. It looks like you want to say something, Cope. Yeah, you're fifth generation though. Now you're Rockefeller Center.
It's still family money though.
It's still family money. Yeah,
that was already taxed.
I think it's looking back. It's looking back on what are you saying? You're saying that it shouldn't get taxed, Gula? Or are you saying that it should?
I'm leaning the side that there should be some form of tax. Maybe not as high as some of these politicians claim that there should be. There should be some sort of inheritance tax because I think that betters the society overall. I mean, there's a fine balance between like too little tax and too large a tax. But I'm specifically just saying the inheritance tax portion of this. I think there's a middle ground. Definitely could go too high, but I think it should be something. That's my take.
Yeah, I will say that I don't think it should be tax on it. I think that they already, and they make you try to donate a certain percentage to charity just so that it can offset.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, there's ways.
Like I think you have to do like 25. Yeah. Well, I love the ones that find loopholes. I love it. Like they be like, "Oh, Jeff Bezos didn't pay nothing in taxes." Man, good for him. Go. I'm trying to find that way. Like, you know what I mean? Because we're getting killed in taxes every year. So to answer your question for inheritance tax, no, I'm with Photop with that. I don't think that if you build up a legacy, if you build up an inheritance, I don't think that you should pay tax on it. Those people who are spending that money, they're already going to be paying tax. So
you're saying that stance right now, you're going to hold that stance for 10 generations after you, right?
100%. Yeah.
Even though they didn't do anything.
It's looking back on your part though, right? It's having that mentality of not looking down on somebody, forgetting for, living someone's legacy out. Like, right. If my grandfather or my father left us millions of dollars, why should I get looked down upon?
Yeah. But to that point, I think what needs to happen though is you need to instill, taking us back to like creating that legacy and that impact. I think it needs to be instilled in the family core that like there might be a couple $1 million left for you, but like these are our principles, these are our core values. This is the way you need to, live your daily life and add value to others. And like, yeah, you're gonna have the resources monetarily to do what you want, and maybe have a higher starting point than most people your age when you receive this inheritance. But at the same time, you need to live by the Copeland family values, the Fotopoulos family values in order to do it. And I think as long as that is entrusted to the generations below us, and obviously, let's say, 10 generations from us, the values might be a lot different. But that would be my perspective. As long as those values are intact, then there should be no problem with that inheritance money and where that person's starting, as long as they're acting in the right ways.
It's hard to gauge that though. Like obviously as you get to like the fifth or sixth generation, but I definitely understand what you're saying. I think it goes back on that quote, like that goes on Instagram. The one guy was saying like, I'm driving a Lexus, I forget how it went, but like he was basically saying like each generation was getting a nicer vehicle, but then by like the fourth or fifth generation, they were back walking again, just because they lose that value, they lose that work ethic, they lose that drive of like the everyday grind. So I think it's extremely hard to kind of gauge what that fifth or sixth generation will do. I think all you can do is obviously you can leave it in your will of your principles, your morals, your values, and obviously you hope and pray that they follow it. But who is to say that they're going to do that, right? They might get that $10 million and say, all right, we had lived
anyway.
right.
Yeah,
right.
Anyway, so I think to kind of put a bow on it a little bit. What I agree with what Brandon is saying from the standpoint of as long as you are instilling a foundational mindset within your children, hopefully they pass it on to their children. That's what you pass down. The money piece is irrelevant, right? We won't be here to see our 5th generation. So I can't but right now the plan is to build something that can at least get to that generation. And what they do with it, they do with it. But if my children do their job and instill what I instilled in them, and their children do the same thing, so on and so forth, then hopefully that legacy continues in abundance and prosperity. If it doesn't, something failed, but that isn't on you because you already created a chain reaction of abundance, a chain reaction of prosperity. The ones who dropped the ball, that's on them. So, hell, this has been an interesting conversation. And to be very clear, I do not hate Bronny. I hope he has a lot of success. Okay. I don't like, I really don't like the fact that I do feel somebody had an opportunity stolen from them. And that's just my opinion.
Get back in the gym.
They were in the gym.
Work hard. That first round.
They're in March Madness. They had the numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of good talent, man. That didn't get picked up. But that's my opinion. But I do hope he does well. But when get back to the whole point about this, as far as legacy, we all want to create something that we can pass on to our children that we hope they can take and continue what we gave them. That's up to them, though. Like, we can't dictate what they would want to do. We all want to leverage nepotism some way. I feel like if everybody could leverage that, they would, if we're being honest. We already do in some ways now. But when you do leverage, make sure you are prepared for that opportunity. Make sure you have the ability to take that and grow with that as well. Or your children are able to take that opportunity and grow with that. But beyond that, everybody, please reach in your pocket, as Josh so eloquently said. I was reaching, and send this man some Bronny jerseys that he can lay in bed with at all times. But go build that legacy, but more importantly, build the foundation within your children to continue that legacy. Because if you don't do that, it don't matter anyway. So, cheers to Bronny James being an all-star one day, and Josh getting an autograph. Y'all have a great day.
Cheers, y'all.
That really matters.